Hello all, welcome back to Ajadi Kamrat Mahazor story series with Mommy Straw Musings. Today I'm going to take you to the 10th century pages from the Indian history book. Let us talk about the happenings that happened between 10th to 14th century. Yeah, I can immediately see some doubts on your faces. I'm talking about the dates, but which king or from which state am I going to introduce you to? Come on, let us talk about the most beautiful state in India, whose pristine beaches attract visitors and call us for a blissful vacation. You're getting any hint? Yes, my dear friends, we are going to talk about Goa, the most beautiful state with its greenery, enticing beaches, serene beaches, which call us for a blissful vacation, isn't it? Nowadays, Goa is known for its tourist location, and the moment we step into Goa, we see the beautiful churches, beautiful cathedrals, all over the place. And we all know that it's been under Portuguese rule for so long. But do you know the history of Goa dates back to almost like Ramayana and Bhagavata days? That Parshurama has something to do with how Goa got established today. Even leave alone those days, in the recent medieval history, Goa used to have a golden time, which historians call it as the golden era of Goa. Who is responsible for that? Come, let us to take this journey to 10th century and find out who is the person. The dynasty which gave the golden era to Goa, where Goa has thrived as the most important and prominent commercial port within India that had business ties with 16 different countries across Europe and Southeast Asia. Interesting, isn't it? Before we get into there, to that point, I want to introduce you a little bit about Kadamba dynasty. Kadamba dynasty started from Karnataka. The orange part of the area marked in the Indian map is the place where Kadamba dynasty started ruling. They had taken over this area from Pallava kings. Kadamba dynasty is one of the first indigenous kings who started ruling Karnataka, Goa, Konkan, and all the areas. And their capital is Banvasi. Let us not get into the details of Mayur Sharma's story or Mayur Verma's story and how Kadamba dynasty developed and expanded its territories. We are concentrating on Goa today, right? So let us go to the Kadambas of Goa. Now you might get read out. Why am I talking about Kadambas of different areas? As Kadamba has the first king of Kadamba dynasty, Mayur Sharma has started expanding their territory. He is a good visionary who follows Chalukya's Ardhashastra. As per that, he bifurcated his dynasty into three different branches and told one branch to rule the Goa part, other to rule the Hangal part, and other to rule the Halaki part of the Kadamba Empire. Isn't it wonderful? There was a divide, basically a good government bifurcation at that point of time itself. So now we let us go ahead and concentrate on Kadambas of Goa. How Kadambas came into Goa is an interesting question. Kadambas, the first Kadamba who stepped into Goa is a Shashwata Deva Kadamba, who had actually defeated Shilhara dynasty, the offspring of Bojas from in Goa, and made Chandor, the current Chandor, as his capital. And you might be aware of the Goa geography, isn't it? Chandor is on the banks of Kushavati River. And Goa at that time is a very fertile land where a lot of cashews, coconuts were being grown. And most of the Egyptian travelers, Persian travelers, all of them used to describe Goa that time itself as a most divine area, which is full of greenery and mountains and waterfalls. So Shashwata Deva Kadamba has established his fort in Chandor and he started ruling the entire Goa region. But slowly there came a time when there was a famine in that area and Kushavati river started getting dried up. Obviously, water is needed for any kingdom to flourish, isn't it? Most of us we have seen that most of the civilizations were flourishing on the river banks. Most of the kingdoms were reaching their zenith on some or other river banks, right? So the moment Kushavati river started getting dried up, our Shashwatadeva Kadamba has started had moved his capital from Chandur to the current Goa Velha, or which we call at that time was being called as Goa Puri or Goa Kapatnam. Unfortunately, right now we don't have any remnants of Shashwata Varma's rule in Goa Velha. That is another tragic part which we can discuss it later. So then he made Goa Velha as his major capital and started Shashwata Varma started ruling the entire Goa. After the Portuguese took over Goa, and they started demolishing all the structures that have been constructed by the Kadamba kings. And that is why we don't find any references to Kadamba dynasty in Goa, though it has reached its zenith, and Kadamba dynasty's rule is called as Golden Era of Goa. Now, you all must be wondering where, in that case, where did I get this information? Or where do we, I mean, you also can do the research, right? Google is there for everybody. So, where do you get that information? Yes, my dear friends, the first information, before even I go there, where I got the information, I want to tell you some other facts. The Kadamba kings has started expanding their Goan territories to such an extent that under JKC2, the Goa was flourishing like anything. In fact, Kadamba kings are the first ones to introduce the gold coins also in Goa. And even today, we can see the gold coins from Kadamba dynasty across various museums in India. The front side of the gold coin has the lion as their emblem, which belongs again once again to the Kadamba dynasty from Karnataka. And the other side of it contains the Devanagari script, which talks about the Kadambas of Goa. So now coming back to our question as to where did we get the information about Kadamba dynasty from Goa? Yes, my dear friends, coming to that question only. In the Kadamba dynasty has established two important or prominent educational centers in their region. One is known as Talagonda village. In Talagonda, they have a huge educational institution where Brahmins used to come and practice all the different Vedas, learn new skills, and in fact, students from across European countries also used to come down and sit and read here, learn and discuss about different streams of philosophy and talk and share the knowledge. This has been documented in different travelers' diaries as well. And in the Talagonda Pranaveshwara temple area, we have a big, huge pillar which is being seen here, and that contains the inscriptions about Kadambas of Goa as well. And that is where this branch of different kings from this branch have also been listed down. Isn't it beautiful? Ibn Butava, the Persian traveler at that point of time, told that Goa is the most beautiful place where cashews are grown in abundance. Kings and people were having a beautiful life where the kings were treating all the people as their own kids. And in fact, do you know the first mosque in India was built in Goa? That shows how secular the Kadamba kings were. Even before the Bahmanis or the Bijapur Sultanate started building mosques in the Delhi side, the Goa had its own first mosque. And that happened during the Jaikesini period, Jaikesini 1 and Jaikesini 2 period. Because Jaikesinis were very secular in their thought process, though they were Shaivites who used to worship Lord Shiva all along. They were, basically, they were encouraging religions the of all kinds. They were encouraging the worships of all kinds, and that is the reason why they gave some space for the Bahmani sultans to come and worship their god. Unfortunately, these Bahmani sultans are the ones who had taken over from the Kadamba lineage and started occupying Goa. After Bahmani sultans occupied Goa, Vijayanagar kings from Hampi region, you remember yesterday also we spoke, they went and attacked Bahmani sultans and got Goa into their control. You might be wondering why so many fights on this small region called Goa. Even today, Goa is a very small state in India, isn't it? That's because of its naval base, my dear friends. Goa is known to be the most busiest commercial port city within entire India because it had those during Kadamba period they had ties with all the 16 countries. That is the reason why they have a very good and stable merchant navy system in their control. So obviously, the people, all the kings who wanted to expand their territories, who wanted to expand their kingdom, wanted to have the control on the merchant navy. And those were the times I'm talking about, the 10th and 13th centuries, right? At that time, having a ship itself is a luxury, and that too having a merchant navy ship is the most luxurious thing of all, and which or not all the kings were able to build and have control. So they felt that attacking a kingdom which has already a good merchant navy system, naval system, will ease their lives so that they can do a lot more business and make a lot more money. So after in the Vijayanagara Empire, the Bijapur Sultanates took over from them, and then the Bijapur Sultanates have to concede in front of the Portuguese invasion. And that is when the Portuguese rule over Goa started. And unfortunately, that's the dark era of Goa, where they had destroyed all the Hindu monuments, all the Hindu scriptures, books from Goa, and in fact, they even, we don't have any places where we can see and go and see the Kadamba lineage. The only places where we can go and talk, get a little bit of idea about Kadamba and actually what's the golden rule, how they rule Goa at that point of time is in the Panji, in the current capital of Goa, in the Pilar Museum. Only Shaiva temple, which is still in, of course, near ruins, but still there in Goa, is the Mahadeva temple. And you can see on the old port city of Goa Kapatnam or the Goa Velha is the seashore where it has the rubbles of the old port wall. Apart from that, none of other historical evidences are there. All we have is the traveler diaries from different countries. Persian travelers, Egyptian travelers, Chinese travelers who have visited India during different periods have talked about how good Kadamba people or kings are to the people. You know what? There is no land tax for them. People can go and take occupy any tract of land and start plowing it, growing the different farms. Mostly, of course, the Goan soil suits for cashews, coconuts, and other rice and other areas. And then the people were given free health, and people were, lot of Ayurvedic doctors, all those other doctors, homeopathic doctors were all present who were treating them at a free of cost. Education was free, and because they came from the Kadamba dynasty, the original Kadamba dynasty from Karnataka, these Kadamba kings have given much importance to education. They said being a king itself is not sufficient. You need to be an educated king who can take care of all the other people and subjects below you. They gave more importance to knowledge than to the warfare. That is the reason why Goa was flourishing. They were willing to do business with far off lands. They were willing to go ahead in the merchant navy vessels and negotiate terms, sell their cashews, other spices from the Konkan coast to the European countries and get money from them, which they used to use for improvement of their own kingdom. Isn't it beautiful? This is one kingdom which never actually fought. Though other people try to come and attack them and take the control over them, the Kadamba dynasty is one of the peaceful dynasties which actually encourage the art and art, craft work, the different kinds of occupations like pottery, ironsmiths, and then weaving, everything. So it was flourishing in a very good way, as most of the people know, right? The glory of the kings lies only in the gravestones, which we can only hear if you are really interested in digging through those graves. That is how the Kadamba dynasty's glory and the brave stories have actually got dusted in the annals of Indian history. That's all, my dear friends, for today. The reason why I'm talking to you about this entire Kadamba dynasty, not just one king or queen here, is that I just want to tell you Goa is not what we see today. Goa has such a huge ancient history where Hinduism was flourishing. Just because some other person, Portuguese has invaded us, we lost all our, memories about Goa, the Hinduism symbols from Goa. But please don't look at Goa as only the state which has beautiful beaches, which has most number of churches and their archaeological wonders, there is more to Goa. Please try to look at Goa with a totally other new set of eyes. Then you can see how beautiful Goa is all about, and how our Indian kings were working for the betterment of the people all over the time, right from the medieval ages. Okay, then meet you tomorrow with another interesting king or queen. Stay tuned to see who that will be. Bye bye.